Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. What's the old saying? Another day, a little less dollar. Maybe that's how it should go, because that's exactly what we're seeing, folks. Across the board, not just less US dollars when it comes to international trade and its usage abroad, but also less dollars here at home. In the last week or so, there's been all kinds of numbers come out. I've covered some of them a few times in videos in the last several days, but basically things just don't look good. And it's actually astonishing to me that there are that many people out there that they don't look at anything. They don't do any kind of research. They don't think. They just, whatever the spokesperson at the White House, or whatever whatever news channel that they're watching, or whatever person that they follow online that says, oh yeah, things are great. It's great. I mean, it's just the strongest economic recovery ever. And you know, there was no, there was high inflation when I took office. I mean, I'm not responsible for inflation. There was already inflation. Oh man, it was, the economy was horrible with the last president. I've improved it a lot. The people that actually believe that, it blows me away, because it's not really about partisanship. It's about just looking at the numbers and doing some research, and then just looking at your own pocketbook. How can a person go to the grocery store and buy their groceries and not notice that things are a little bit different? That the cost of that basket full of groceries, or half a basket or whatever, has gone up pretty significantly. We're seeing it's slow, but it's not. It is picking up speed and momentum, the slowdown, and it's continually getting worse. Just in the last week or so, and again, I've already mentioned some of these numbers, but let's put it all together. About 10% of Americans now, which is actually a pretty high number considering what this statistic is. 10% of Americans now are buying their groceries with these buy now, pay later type of apps. I don't even know anything about them really. I mean, I know what a buy now, pay later loan is, but apparently there are these apps that are the same kind of thing, and you get a little loan, and these people are paying 30 and 40% interest just to buy their groceries. 70% of Americans are saying that they're struggling. They're feeling the pain of the economy, and about a half of Americans, 40% or so, over the last year has said that there have been times that they've had to make a choice whether to pay their house payment or to buy groceries, that it's been that tough. And the numbers just keep looking worse all over. I mean, you can believe what you want when they say, oh, inflation has gone down, even though we're still paying a lot more for stuff, and the dollar is just worth less and less. And part of the reason the dollar is worth less and less is because people around the world are turning away from it. And this has been a subject we've been talking about for weeks on this channel. And it's unusual, because any time in the past, especially the past 40 years, that there has been a nation that has either attempted to, or even hinted at stopping the use of the US dollar, or doing trade in their own currency, or creating their own reserve currency, any of these kind of things, there's usually bad things that happen to that country. Wars start, assassination attempts, revolutions, coup attempts, all these kinds of things have surprisingly happened to every country in the past 40 plus years that has attempted to go off the US dollar. But yet now we hear of countries almost daily saying that not too interested in the US dollar, and nothing's being done about it. And so as we see this happen more, as more and more countries around the world are like, so we don't have to use the US dollar anymore, like they're not gonna come kill us, and they're not gonna, like, come into our country and take us over if we don't use the US dollar anymore. Well, then why do we use it? Because the only people in the world that really truly benefit from the use of the US dollar is, well, Americans. It's in the end, it's not really that beneficial for a lot of these other countries to use it. And so the more that they see it's okay to stop using it, the less they'll use it. And that just means that the less the US dollar really has value. Yesterday alone, both Indonesia and Argentina said, we're just not really interested in the US dollar. Argentina said that they're doing all their trade now with China, not using the US dollar. And Indonesia has indicated that they're going to start making the transition away from the US dollar. And that's pretty significant because Indonesia is the 13th largest economy on the planet, which, I mean, you know, they're not small fry, folks. We're seeing this movement away from, and the only thing that I would say the rest of the world is looking at when it comes to the United States is that, well, we just keep going into debt. We're spending like, you know, we're just on a drunken, you know, party. And I don't see how most countries can have any kind of confidence anymore when they look at what this administration is doing and how the country is headed as a whole. It's kind of astonishing to me. The debt ceiling is about to be hit, and we've talked about that before. And they're saying that we'll hit it sooner than expected. Originally, they were saying that Janet Yellen said that they expected us to hit the debt ceiling like towards the end of June, maybe 1st of July. But it's probably going to hit a little sooner than that because the revenue coming in from taxes wasn't quite what we expected, and which means that there's even less money. Now, yesterday, the House Republicans passed a bill, a debt ceiling increase bill, but according to the news people, the Senate Democrats and the White House are not going to go for it. And even if it did pass the Senate, the White House has indicated that Biden would veto the bill. It is a $1.5 trillion debt ceiling increase, but there are cutbacks in other areas, and that they just don't want to do that, mostly in the green energy kind of stuff. So will they get it passed? Will they pass something? Will they work something out? I'm sure they will, unless it has been decided that now is the chosen time for things to really get crazy. Every time we come to this crossroads of spending bills or debt limits, it comes right down to the wire, and then they get things passed, and it seems crazy, but you know, we move on. That's likely what would happen this time. But again, unless the overlords have decided that now is the time to move forward with their CBDC, with their change of things, then maybe this would be the time that the debt ceiling limit doesn't get fixed and things do get crazy. What the very first thing that would happen is that our credit rating would drop. And while that may not sound like too big of a deal, considering all the other things going on and the de-dollarization going on internationally, having the United States credit rating drop, I think would actually be significant. It has happened in the past, but we were able to kind of get through it, and it didn't hurt too terribly bad. But I think this time it probably would. And I'm no expert on this kind of stuff. But I wonder sometimes these economists, if they take really everything in, you know, they're looking at just numbers, they're looking at just money, and they're looking at it through a really kind of a capitalistic point of view, which, I mean, I'm a capitalist myself, but that it's just all about someone making money or making profit. And I think a lot of times there's a lot of different things going on, especially for some of these countries that are more traditional, countries that are just kind of fed up with you know, America pushing their garbage around now, all of this LGBTQ that they're trying to, you know, shove down everyone's throat. It was a week or two ago, I believe it was Anthony Blinken, but it was one of them, stated that every time that they have any kind of phone conversation with anyone with Saudi Arabian government, they're constantly pushing the LGBTQ stuff on them to get them to be more tolerant. And then we wonder why Saudi Arabia doesn't really want to play ball with us anymore. They're sick of it. They're absolutely sick of it. And I don't blame them in a lot of ways, because I'm kind of sick of the LGBTQ stuff being shoved down my throat. So I don't want to play ball with them either anymore. Basically, all this is just showing us how fragile the system is. We've been talking about this for a long time. I mean, my goodness, Ron Paul's been talking about it for 20, 30, 40 years. And look at how many people really listen to him. I mean, a lot of you listen to him, but I mean, how many people that could actually, do the things he talked about listen to him? Not very many. And it's all coming to fruition. Even if the dollar doesn't completely collapse, if it just gets a lot weaker, I think it's gonna spell bad news, because it also means that the rest of the world isn't very confident in the United States in lots of ways, militarily. There's going to be less people be willing to, there's going to be more people willing to kind of stand up against us. I mean, look at what China's doing already, in Russia, North Korea, Iran. They've all kind of lost their fear of the United States. And when you put everything together, we are entering a new phase of world order. We've been under the United States' world order for 75, 80 years, and we're going through another phase of that. And who's going to come out on top, we don't yet know, but it's probably not going to be the United States, and we need to prepare ourselves for that, because that's kind of the best case scenario, I think. The best case scenario is that there's just we go through another kind of 1940s style shift and change with a new player on top. Worst case scenario is everything completely bottoms out. It's a complete collapse in just about every segment of society, and it's almost a true reset for us. We just almost have to start all over again. And it's very chaotic, and it's very devastating, and lots of destruction. Best case scenario is probably just a changing of the world order. And we need to get ready for that, because that is going to be devastating for Americans. We're not used to that. We have no concept of what that means. And it's going to change a lot of things. It's going to hurt us economically. Our prosperity is going to lessen quite a bit. The possibility of more violence from abroad, terrorists, all kinds of stuff could increase. These migrant caravans, there's another one. I've been talking about it with you folks for the last week or so. It's getting closer to the border. There are thousands of people now, and it's growing. But there are thousands of people in that migrant caravan, and there are hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands, of military-aged Chinese males. Interesting. I was talking to some folks about that. Think about it. It's not that easy to get out of China. Getting out of China is probably harder for a Chinese citizen to get out of China than it would be for you and I to go. In fact, it is. You and I could travel to China to go visit. For a Chinese citizen to get out of China, especially the poor ones, because that's what we're hearing a lot of these Chinese migrants are the poor Chinese citizens. It's nearly impossible for them to get out. And why would China allow them to get out if they think they're getting ready to go to war? Which they've said that that's what they're doing. They're building up for war. And so they're going to allow hundreds and hundreds of military-aged Chinese males that are poor to leave the country. They're not going to lock that down. No, they're going to, conscript them against their will, and they're going to put them into military service. I'm not buying that the argument that these are just poor Chinese males that are, sneaking out of the country by the hundreds and hundreds and thousands and making it all the way across that big old ocean and getting into the United States so that they can send money back home to their families. I'm not buying it. We're watching a buildup of a lot. Submarines are being talked about being placed everywhere, ours and theirs. Just build up in all sorts of areas. All of this is also connected with this dollar stuff. They know that. The U.S. currency, the dominating global reserve currency, is all directly connected with war. It always has been. It's also the big war dollar. And so we are watching a standoff build. The stage is being set, folks. That's what we're watching. Has the actions actually started yet? Not really. Not really. We're just watching the players get into place. That's all we're seeing right now. But there's an indication because of what we're seeing and how they're setting it up that this is going to be a big one. I mean, we're looking at 3 theaters already of potential war: the European, the Asian, and the Middle Eastern. And there could be more. We're watching China do a lot of buildup in South America. It's not a good time, folks. And I'm not saying that to worry you and to bring you down and to be all doomsday, because you already know that. You already know things are crazy. I'm saying this to push you a little bit harder to get a little bit more ready. Because as much as you all think that you're at your max when it comes to your preparations, you're at your max of your mental readiness, you're not. I'm not. Because there's times I think that. There's times I think, man, this area of my life, of our farm, of our preps, it's locked down, it's taken care of. And then if I sit and think about it along, I'm like, well, but I could do this. Well, I could add this. I could do this. Or if I'm sitting here thinking, I think I'm just doing as much as I possibly can right now. I'm overworked on the homestead. We've extended ourselves as far as we can financially on preparations. And then we figure out, yeah, we could do a little bit more. And so that's the point to what I say all this. I'm not really trying to reach new people anymore. I mean, if they listen to me, that's fine, but I'm not trying to open new eyes. I'm trying to get the lions awake. I'm trying to circle the wagons, wake the lions up, and get the remnant ready, because hard, dark times are coming, and you need to get ready. Folks, get your houses in order and prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Folks, we are living in uncertain times where chaos seems to be around every corner. With wars and rumors of wars, economic collapse, pandemics, and more, we should strive daily to become more prepared mentally, physically, and of course spiritually. Please check out My Patriot Supply for all your preparedness needs. My Patriot Supply offers Ready Hour food, Alexa Pure water filters, and many other emergency and survival products. My Patriot Supply is an American-owned company, run by Americans producing American-made food. Emergency food from My Patriot Supply has a 25-plus year shelf life. It's simple to fix and delicious to eat. With My Patriot Supply, you can sleep at ease at night, knowing that you and your family have the emergency food to last through the coming times. To find out more, click on the link in the description below or go to preparewithtravis.com.